Chapter 841. Mana Consumption. Everyone in Team Everlasting, including Heian, who had discussed the plan in detail with the Chi Master, was completely speechless. Mentality. This was an issue with his mentality. As soon as your mentality shifted off balance, your thoughts might run into a dead end. For example, this Chi Master had determined that Unspecialized could attack him first from afar, so he tried to get him to waste mana that way. However, he was too tunnel-visioned on this strategy. When his opponent was clearly within his attack range, he was still waiting for Lord Grimm to attack him first. The spectators wondered whether he had been bribed. It wasn't too outrageous for that to happen. However, his way of doing so was too unusual. Moreover, this guy still hadn't reacted. Lord Grimm and Heavenly Rage were still moving closer and closer to each other. Heian really wanted to slap his teammate awake. It was such a crucial match. How can you commit such a stupid blunder? However, he didn't do it in the end. He also knew that it was easy to make mistakes at crucial moments. It was because the player cared too much and wanted to win too much. The distance continued to close. Team Everlasting's Chi Master suddenly woke up. The previous round had left a deep impression on him. This distance was how far Shadow Clone technique could reach. Leopold was unable to escape from Lord Grimm, starting at this distance. Leopold was then completely crushed. The Chi Master finally woke up because of his sensitivity towards this distance. At this distance, he could have started attacking long ago. Even though his goal was to waste as much of Lord Grimm's mana as possible, that didn't mean he couldn't go on the offensive. Attacking was also a way to waste the other side's mana. In addition, there were also opportunities to consume the opponent's health and mana simultaneously. Chi Bullet. At this point, the Chi Master didn't hesitate to start attacking. Heavenly Rage fired a Chi Bullet. The crowd's suspicions of him throwing the match were finally dispelled. The Chi Bullet flew out. Lord Grimm's figure flickered. The Chi Master had committed a big blunder, but his attention was fully focused on the fight. He saw Lord Grimm's flicker clearly. As expected, Shadow Clone technique. The Chi Master had been expecting it and instantly deduced it. Without another word, he put an input. Heavenly Rage's two palms rose towards the sky. Then, he bent his waist and slammed the ground. A wave of chi spread from his two hands. This attack covered all around him. Whether Lord Grimm teleported to the front, behind, left, or right of him, he would certainly be enveloped by this attack. However, at this moment, the crowd let out a gasp of astonishment because Lord Grimm had used Shadow Clone technique to get above him, not to the front, behind, left, or right of him. The airborne Lord Grimm looked as if he were about to give Heavenly Rage an attack as he fell. Following afterwards would be a continuous combo. But Heavenly Rage stood up after slamming the ground and his palms faced Lord Grimm. Sky-piercing strike. The Chi Master had actually predicted Lord Grimm's movements. He had been prepared for this attack. A ball of chi flew out from his palms towards Lord Grimm. At this moment, Lord Grimm raised his myriad manifestations umbrella. Ka-ka, and his umbrella split into propeller. 2-2-2-2, it spun around rapidly, lifting him up. He casually loosened his hand and a grenade dropped onto Heavenly Rage. Heavenly Rage was still in the ending lag of his sky-piercing strike. He had no way of dodging the grenade, so it exploded on top of his head. The Chi Master wanted to cry. He obviously knew what options an Unspecialized had, but he couldn't react fast enough in the middle of a fight. They had only prepared for a week. How could he have mastered everything so quickly? He had at least consumed some of his mana. The Chi Master failed to strike Lord Grimm, but that at least gave him some console. Being at ease made it easier for him to keep his mental state in balance, no? As a result, the Chi Master was still fairly calm. He immediately had Heavenly Rage turn around to continue attacking Lord Grimm. However, Lord Grimm had only used Rotor Wing to switch directions in the air, so he could dodge Sky-piercing strike. After avoiding the attack, he followed with his own attack. Heavenly Rage's turn of the body matched it too perfectly. It was so perfect that everyone in the crowd wanted to smack their foreheads. Lord Grimm's falling light blade struck Heavenly Rage's forehead. A grenade and then a slice to the head. If this wasn't a game, he would have died twice. Heavenly Rage was knocked down with this falling light blade. He immediately touched it and rolled, but as soon as he got up, Lord Grimm's spear thrust towards him. Circle Swing grabbed Heavenly Rage and threw him back to the ground. He fell so hard he didn't know where he was anymore. Too pitiful. Everyone thought to themselves. The current heavenly rage had been closed in on just like Leopold. And unspecialized at melee range was too terrifying. It was just as everyone predicted. When heavenly rage got up, Lord Grimm's attack arrived. The Chi Master chose the correct choice this time though. When he got up, he pushed his palms outwards to create a Chi shield. Lord Grimm's attack just happened to hit this Chi shield. Borrowing the shockwave from the Chi shield being shattered, heavenly rage slid back several steps. He thought he could pull apart the distance, when Lord Grimm carried his myriad manifestations umbrella and rushed forward with the knight's charge. The charge skill was faster than a character's movement speed. However, heavenly rage had borrowed the resulting shockwave, so his movement speed was faster than normal too. The myriad manifestations umbrella charging at him missed him just by a bit. His heart thumped with joy. Lord Grimm didn't hit him. He had wasted some more of his mana. But that charge wasn't everything. Lord Grimm didn't reduce his speed. A glint of light shined and a sword was unsheathed. A berserker's colliding stab followed after. This time, heavenly rage couldn't avoid it. The sword struck his chest. Colliding stab's momentum wouldn't stop with just that. Lord Grimm rushed forward along with the target. It looked like he refused to let go until this sword killed heavenly rage. Yishu didn't need this skill's charge effect. When it was about right, he switched skills, not letting the other side any time to adjust before he performed his unspecialized combo. The myriad manifestations umbrella constantly switched forms. All sorts of skills from different classes were unleashed at a speed that the crowd couldn't keep up with. The previous combo that made everyone forget themselves in its beauty reappeared. However, with the combo from before, the crowd wouldn't lose themselves. It was still stunning to see though, even if they didn't want to admit it. The other players in Team Everlasting had expressions of horror. If this continued, would heavenly rage be killed in this way just like Leopold? Only he followed Lord Grimm's mana bar closely. Every point of mana was another point of happiness. He knew that hoping the Chi Master to make a huge comeback wouldn't be possible. Now it was a matter of how much more mana Lord Grimm would use up. Next, it would be up to him to use this advantage and win. Use a bit more mana. He paid attention to Lord Grimm's mana bar, while checking on heavenly rage's health bar from time to time. The Chi Master hadn't given up. He was still struggling because he knew that he wasn't here to win this round, so he wasn't too troubled by the opponent suppressing him. He just needed to make things hard for his opponent, so his opponent would need to use more skills to kill him. Chi Masters were also cloth classes. From their equipment stats, their defense wasn't anything much. But in reality, Chi Masters had far better defensive stats than other cloth classes because of their passive skill, True Chi Protection. After learning this skill, the Chi Masters' mana directly affected their defense. Their defense would increase proportionally according to their remaining mana. Chi Masters that emphasized offense and disregarded defense might not use this skill, but the majority of Chi Masters sought consistency, so True Chi Protection would usually be maxed. Even though the effects of the skill would decrease as their mana decreased, the increase in defense was still very distinct. It was because of this skill that many Chi Masters valued equipment, which improved their mana and mana recovery in order to increase the benefits from this skill. In the pro scene, few players would specifically choose equipment for the benefit of just a single skill. Pro characters would change depending on their needs. Heian was regretted not preparing for this beforehand. If he had known Heavenly Rage's goal would be to waste mana, they would have stacked mana and health on him. It would have been very effective. Right now, Heavenly Rage could only rely on himself to struggle. But seeing Lord Grimm's mana compared to Heavenly Rage's health, Heian let out a sigh of relief. If this continued, even if Lord Grimm's mana didn't go completely empty, there should only be 10% remaining. Even if he drank the best mana potion, it would be at 30%. With 30% mana and Lord Grimm's damage output, Heian was confident his go forth wouldn't fall even if he just stood there letting Lord Grimm attack him. Go forth was a spellblade. Don't look at how they dealt magic damage. The health and defense of spellblades were first class. Among the swordsman classes, berserkers only wore heavy armor. Spellblades wore plate armor though, which had the highest physical defense out of all the armors. Spellblades also stacked intelligence, so along with accessories, their magic defense was very mighty as well. No matter how many skills an unspecialized possessed, whether it was physical or magic damage, trying to get through a spellblade would require enormous damage output. And how much mana did Lord Grimm have left? Seeing the situation, Hian's smile grew wider and wider. Chapter 842. Almost out of mana. Heavenly Rage finally fell. In this brave struggle of his, he had managed to deal some damage to Lord Grimm, taking a tenth of Lord Grimm's health with him. However, what was more satisfying was that he knew he had done well to deplete Lord Grimm's mana. Lord Grimm had drunk a mana potion in this match, the kind with the best effects that restored 20% of his mana. Yet, by the time he had crushed Heavenly Rage, only 25% of Lord Grimm's mana remained. By then, not only Team Everlasting, but even the normal players had noticed Lord Grimm's trouble with mana. They had realized in this match that Lord Grimm's mana consumption was terrifyingly high. After all, 1 vs 3 wasn't rare in the pro circle or the casual one. Especially for players who played casually, the difference between the skill levels of different players was sometimes rather absurd, making 1 vs 3 more common. If it was a sandbag-style 1 vs 3 beating, there was little need to worry about mana. For Lord Grimm, beating Heavenly Rage wasn't nearly as absurdly easy as hitting a sandbag, but his advantage was absolute. Nearly running out of mana and having only 25% left after ingesting a mana pill under these circumstances showed how inefficient Lord Grimm's mana consumption was. As the match went on, the audience had made some realizations, too. The reason why Lord Grimm consumed so much mana was because his damage output was really quite low. The damage output to mana input ratio wasn't high at all. Some of the smarter players, the players who were rather skilled, had guessed Team Everlasting's intentions from seeing Lord Grimm's mana in the course of the match. Spellblade Go Forth had entered Team Everlasting's side of the area. The results of the winning match of the group arena seemed to be obvious when looking at the characters on either side. The players were clear about the Spellblade's defensive capabilities. If beating a Chi Master required so much mana, then how was it possible to beat a Spellblade with just 25% of his mana left? Team Happy had fallen into a trap. The face-slappers who realized this were elated. There was no way anything would go wrong here. They could finally openly mock Happy now, right? It was just unfortunate that the face-slappers present today were rather few in number. Even they thought that there was no way that Team Happy would lose with such an advantage. Another unfortunately thing was that though the group arena might be in the bag, Team Everlasting had to win the team competition as well to tie. After that, they would have to win an extra team competition to completely win against Team Happy. If Team Everlasting still ended up eliminated, then their mockery would be meaningless. But why should they care so much now? Seeing how Team Happy's failure in the group arena was set in stone after falling for a trick, the spectating face-slappers began to excitedly cheer once more. Hian watched the audience's mockery with a smile. He didn't mind the audience's blabbering. If even they had noticed, how could Team Happy's experts not? It was too bad for them that they noticed too late. Seeing the countdown start, Hian took a deep breath, composing himself. By the time he had done so, Go Forth had been loaded into the match. The fifth round of the group arena, the winning match, was finally starting. The map was still the same map. Hian believed he didn't need to do too much planning and preparations. A character without mana was like a sitting duck. Go Forth wandered around the map, and Hian even had the heart to start admiring the scenery of this map. Red Flower Pavilion, huh? He wasn't very familiar with his map. It was rather beautiful, with red petals dancing through the air. However, it didn't seem to have any special terrain effects. He hadn't seen Team Happy use the map to their advantage in the previous matches either. Thinking of this, Hian suddenly felt uneasy. That's right, he hadn't seen any terrain advantage from this map yet. Team Happy couldn't have picked it so carelessly, right? But, even with the map helping, what could 25% mana do? Hian calmed down as he remembered this. Go Forth walked forwards a bit and could see Lord Grimm charging through the dancing red flowers from the opposite corner. He came rather quickly. It wasn't unexpected though. It wasn't like Lord Grimm was going to drag it out and attempt to recover mana naturally. With the speed at which he consumed mana, how long would it take for him to recover it that way? Hian thought to himself and had Go Forth run over to meet the other. Spellblades were like Chi Masters, their skills were mostly mid-range attacks. Against an unspecialized, they would usually attack last. However, Heian wasn't at all afraid of this, charging into Lord Grimm's attack range without care. Heian believed that Lord Grimm wouldn't dare use long-ranged attacks to play any tricks with him anymore. That sort of depletion of mana wasn't something he could afford. Just as he expected, Go Forth was only targeted by a few normal attacks from Lord Grimm upon entering the latter's attack range. No skills were released. Heian let Go Forth close in with confidence. The audience's chat channel was a sea of mockery. Seeing Lord Grimm in such a difficult position, they were giving all sorts of ideas on how Go Forth should beat up Lord Grimm. Heian, of course, couldn't see these ideas. His eyes were still glued to Lord Grimm's mana bar, watching it even more closely than Lord Grimm's health bar. But since Lord Grimm had only been attacking with normal shots, he hadn't consumed any mana as of yet. Normal attacks couldn't prevent Go Forth's charge. As soon as he got in the Spellblade's attack range, Go Forth immediately sent a soul-stirring ice sword streaking across the ground towards his opponent. Heian was just simply making fun of his opponent. From this distance, how could a slow skill like Ice Blade hit its target? Heian was just purposefully wasting a skill, shoving it in Lord Grimm's face that he had the mana to do so, unlike Lord Grimm who had been using normal attacks the whole time. Lord Grimm sidestepped it easily, moving forwards and continuing to close in on Go Forth. You still want to close in? With what little mana you have remaining, what's the use of doing so? Heian thought to himself, but couldn't let Lord Grimm close in fear of becoming a punching bag. So, he attacked once more, sending all sorts of sword and wave formation attacks without care. Go Forth's wave formations immediately took up a large area of the map, but still didn't manage to trap Lord Grimm. Lord Grimm's movements were smooth and sleek and his knowledge of the range of the wave formations was precise, allowing him to slip by them and leave them behind. Amazing. Even Heian couldn't help but admit this to himself. His wave formation techniques were completely useless against Lord Grimm, who slipped by as if they didn't exist. But so what? Even if you charge right in front of me, can you defeat me? Earthquake Sword. Go Forth quickly sent out a strike. This low-end skill activated quickly, but Lord Grimm still gracefully dodged it, and then finally went on the offensive. Anti-tank missiles. After a sidestep to dodge the Earthquake Sword, Lord Grimm's myriad manifestation umbrella's tip opened and fired. 3 missiles, aimed at 3 points, it was a tri-shot. With the current proximity, Heian didn't have the time to dodge. Go Forth strained to avoid them, but was still hit by 2 missiles. Under the smoke of the explosion, Go Forth was pushed back by the shockwave. The anti-tank missiles that hit him wouldn't knock his character over, though. A blade flashed and Lord Grimm sped out with a colliding stab, catching up with Go Forth easily. With that stab done, a knock-up struck Go Forth and the combos started as he was suspended. Falling Light Blade. Heian didn't want to let Lord Grimm just show off like that, activating Falling Light Blade even as he was knocked up. Go Forth swerved to the side in midair, aiming to land a little ways away. Then, a blade flashed. Go Forth's landing was somehow anticipated by Lord Grimm, and a quick sword draw sent him flying again. Slide Kick, Knee Strike. Lord Grimm used the 2 skills to catch up with Go Forth, not letting him land. Go Forth's Falling Light Blade was still in cooldown as well and Spellblades didn't possess so many intricate sword techniques. Both sword and wave formation attacks were imposing and direct, with little finesse. Under such an intricate combo attack, Spellblades couldn't do much to turn the tables. Even worse, the current opponent was Yi Shu, and he was using an unspecialized with a combo that Heian could barely keep up with. Though Go Forth was helpless under this assault, Heian was still very calm. With this fierce wave of attacks, his mana was quickly depleting. Looking at the rate his life was going down at, he knew that 25% mana was nowhere near enough to devour all his health. Let's see what you can do after your mana's all gone. Heian was thinking that, but Go Forth was being beaten rather badly. Heian's attempts were all futile, so he started typing into the chat to overcome his awkwardness. Is there any use? With that mana of yours, you think you can kill me? Go Forth sent in the public chat. Haha, Lord Grimm took the time to reply, but with this laughing response, it was like he was mocking Heian, as if what Heian had said was dumb. You're still laughing. In a moment, you won't even have the time to cry. Your mana is almost at red. Heian said. Obviously, the mana bar wouldn't go red as a warning upon hitting 10% like the health bar would. Heian was just pretending to be good-natured and humorous, hinting that you only had 10% of your mana left and would soon be helpless. It was at this moment that Ian suddenly felt Lord Grimm's attacks pause. An opening. Was he affected by my words? Ian thought this, and his fingers weren't slow. He quickly used a falling light blade to land, and then jumped back several times. Turning back around to look, he immediately froze in surprise. How come Lord Grimm looked completely different? That's right, he was different, because almost all of Lord Grimm's equipment had been changed. Haha, Lord Grimm laughed again as he spoke, gotta change my equipment since I'm almost out of mana. Chapter 843. Equipment Change Counterattack. Equipment change. Ian didn't know how to react for a moment. It wasn't like this was against the rules. Even in the Pro League, it was okay to switch your equipment out whenever, so long as it was in your inventory. With the freedom of switching equipment, it seemed to be very useful for differing situations, but the problem was that too much equipment caused your character's weight to increase, affecting the character's jumping and movement. In the online game, it didn't really matter. However, in the Pro League, this tiny difference could mean the difference between life and death. So if you wanted to bring equipment into the field, you couldn't bring too much, or else you'd be dragged down by the weight of the equipment. Usually, characters would carry extra accessories, since accessories were relatively lighter so the weight wasn't as evident. But Lord Grimm? Ian looked over the equipment on Lord Grimm. He was completely different from head to toe. His headgear, shoulder pads, top, trousers, belt, shoes, which one was the same? They had all changed. This sort of full re-equip was obsolete in today's Glory. You could only find this reckless playstyle in the early days, when players were still figuring out different strategies for Glory PvP. This had to be Yi Chu. Ian stared blankly at the completely rearmored Lord Grimm. He felt like only a god who had survived from those ancient times like Yi Chu could think of a strategy like this. It was far too outdated. Yet, was there anything impractical about this strategy? No, none at all. Lord Grimm had already wiped out 2 members of Team Everlasting and had the upper hand all throughout his exchange with Ian's Go Forth. And this was done under the weight of all that equipment. Since it hadn't had a visible effect on his performance at all, his strategy was completely viable. What was the equipment on Lord Grimm? Ian's mouse moved rapidly. Headgear. There was no need to click into that. This tall, pointy hat was the Great Witch's hat, right? As for the top, there didn't seem to be a need to look into either. Cloud Flow Battle Robe was something Chi Masters usually wore. Pants, belt, shoulder pads, shoes, cloak, necklace, badge, etc. Some were easily recognized, others Ian had to move his mouse over them to make sure. In reality, after seeing the equipment he could recognize, Ian had already obtained a conclusion. He knew what the other equipment did without having to look. Lord Grimm's attire consisted entirely of mana-replenishing equipment to help a character endure for longer, especially those that Ian recognized immediately. They were all reputable pieces of equipment in-game. After all, endurance was something needed in PvE, which could drag on. As for PvP, the lack of mana was a rare situation. No matter what class, 1 full bar of mana was more than enough to kill a character. But now, Lord Grimm was using these pieces of equipment that were rarely used in PvP. It was because his character really was facing the awkwardness of running out of mana. He had been prepared. Ian realized that now. Since the participating characters had to be prepared before they gave in the lineup, these pieces of equipment couldn't have been added when Lord Grimm realized he had to fight 3 people. From the individual competitions onwards, Lord Grimm had been carrying the equipment and would continue to do so all the way through the team competition. Yet, would there still be a team competition now? Lord Grimm's mana was replenishing at a visible pace and he wasn't impatient anymore at all. Ian didn't have his go forth attack either, he just stood there casually. He couldn't let this drag on. Ian suddenly returned to reality. Even if he had a set of mana replenishing equipment, his mana would still be consumed faster than it could recover in a fast-paced match. He should press on, keeping Lord Grimm's mana at the brink of being used up. If he didn't hang on to this advantage, how else could he win this opponent? Thinking of this, Ian didn't dare dawdle. Go Forth hurriedly charged forward, sending out sword and wave formation skills. This time, he didn't do it to show off the amount of mana he had, he really wanted to hurry and suppress Lord Grimm. The current Lord Grimm wasn't as strong as he was before. That was what Ian told himself. Lord Grimm currently only aimed for mana recovery, even having purple equipment on him. As opposed to the combination of silver and orange he had before, the stats of his current equipment definitely weren't as good as before. But Heian soon realized that he was still helpless against Lord Grimm. Lord Grimm's equipment may have fallen by a grade, but the player behind him was above Heian by who knows how many grades. Heian thought that Lord Grimm would use this set of equipment to restore some mana before switching back to the stronger set and mounting an offense. He hadn't thought Lord Grimm would actively attack with this set of equipment. However, this wave of attacks wasn't nearly as overwhelming as before. It seemed like he was casually sparring, so Heian wasn't losing too badly. Yet, during this exchange of blows, Heian's heart ached when he saw the other's mana keep rising. If this continued, then it was all over. If he lost this round, Team Everlasting and the futures of their team members would be in jeopardy. He couldn't lose. Heian's fighting spirit roared. His hand speed erupted. Grasping onto an opportunity, he let himself tank the damage and did a tri-wave attack, sending out 3 sword skills at Lord Grimm. Lord Grimm didn't waste any time either, lifting his gun and shooting. Amidst the gunshots, his character leapt backwards. He was using aerial fire to retreat. Heian's magnificent counterattack had only just started, when it ended with the opponent's retreat. Lord Grimm had aerial fire and shadow clone and rotor wing. His retreat was just as skillful as his combos. Heian really wanted to cry. His burning spirit petered out. He really didn't know how to deal with this opponent anymore. Though he knew he had to keep close to Lord Grimm, the other managed to get away so easily. This made him realize that keeping a hold of Lord Grimm was just as difficult as escaping from his control. How hard was it to get away from Lord Grimm after he decided to stick to you? Heian had experienced it in the last round, and after today, their Warlock and Chi Master could answer that question for everyone as well. While Heian was over here in a sticky situation, the audience had exploded. Lord Grimm had changed equipment under their eyes. Just the speed at which he switched out equipment could show how skilled he was. As for the equipment he had switched into, like Heian, the audience knew what he was planning after a few glances. What a dirty move, to have brought mana replenishing equipment from the start. As the side that opposed Lord Grimm, no one would think that Yi Shu was sagacious for thinking of this strategy. He was just playing dirty. The face slappers were cursing all over the place in the chat channel, while Everlasting's fans were terrified. They were the ones who really cared about the results of this match. Seeing Lord Grimm come up with this, they realized that Team Everlasting's plan had become futile. Now how would Heian deal with Lord Grimm? The scene in the match ruined their confidence in Heian. He couldn't beat him or trap him. This match raised the hopes of Everlasting's fans high and then smashed it against the ground. Heian hastily tried to get Go Forth to find a chance and attack. Everyone could see by now that he was a mess. Go Forth's attacks still had a method to them, but they had lost their sense of direction. Heian was improvising. As for Lord Grimm, he was calmly dealing with Heian's attacks, occasionally counterattacking. His counterattacks weren't fierce and everyone knew this was purposeful. Lord Grimm's mana bar was slowly filling up even as he fought. This sort of thing would rarely happen even if you wore a full set of mana replenishing equipment. Lord Grimm was keeping a very slow pace for himself. Yet even at such a pace, Heian couldn't obtain any sort of advantage. It was as if he was a huge wave and Lord Grimm was a piece of driftwood. No matter how tumultuous he got, that piece of driftwood would never sink. Under this rhythm, Lord Grimm's mana was pulled back to half full. Everyone knew that Lord Grimm wouldn't draw this out for low NGER than he needed to. He was waiting for when he had enough mana to launch a counterattack. Everyone knew this. That included Heian. However, he had no way of dealing with this. Helplessness coiled around him. He started to remember how he started playing Glory, how he worked so hard in improving his skills yet never had an opportunity to show them off, how he was discovered by the eliminated Team Everlasting. He had wanted to climb to the top, but was his journey about to end here? Yes, it was. As soon as his mana hit 50%, Lord Grimm's pace changed, turning to the offensive. Heian, who was unable to compose himself any longer, was quickly and completely suppressed. It was Go Forth who became a tiny boat amidst the raging waves, but this boat wasn't stable. The waves were smashing it, making it creak and bringing it onto the verge of being torn asunder. It was over. Heian's complexion went pale. His hands were still moving, but his mind was blank. He didn't even know what his hands were doing. Glory. As the word flashed on the screen, Heian's hands left his keypad and mouse and he buried his head into them. His palms felt wet, he was crying. It's not that I don't want to try, but I really can't win. Chapter 844. Finally in the papers. Win. The moment Go Forth fell, Chen Guo immediately jumped up in excitement. This time, she had known about Yi Shu giving Lord Grimm mana recovery equipment, so when she realized Team Everlasting's strategy against him, she looked forward to the results. Sure enough, Yi Shu didn't disappoint her. He switched his equipment, slowed down the pace of the match to recover mana, and then counterattacked to defeat his opponent in one go. The second round of the match could be considered over at this point. By winning the group arena points, even if Team Everlasting won the team competition, they wouldn't be able to turn the situation around. This was the so-called match killer. Calm down. It's just the second round that's over. Yi Shu saw Chen Guo's excitement. Even though he said that, he still had a smile on his face. In the crowd, the spectating face slappers had quietly left. In reality, it proved that those who decided not to come were very wise. Was an 8.5 to 1 point lead so easy to come back from? The face slappers ran away at top speed as if waiting even a second longer would result in their faces being slapped. The remaining crowd members were the few actual fans of Team Everlasting. All of them were dejected. They didn't know what Team Everlasting would do next, but from their understanding of how pro teams operated, it would be hard for their team to continue. Silence filled Team Everlasting's practice room. Heian's head was still buried in his two hands. He felt like he couldn't show his face to his teammates. But at this moment, who would go up and blame him? This result wasn't because of any one person's mistake, but rather the collective mistakes of the team, which ended in their tragic elimination from the Challenger League. Would Team Everlasting stop here? Everyone was quiet. From time to time, they would glance at their boss, who would be deciding the fate of the team. Team Everlasting's boss was naturally very disappointed and grieved. However, he knew that every member of team was also feeling down, especially Wu Chen, who had never abandoned Team Everlasting starting from the pro scene. His feelings towards the team might be even deeper than his own. As the boss, he knew that Wu Chen had received invites from other teams, when Team Everlasting had been relegated. But in the end, he stayed. However, the results were disappointing. He wasn't able to return back to the pro scene with Team Everlasting. He would even have to personally witness Team Everlasting's disbandment. The boss sighed. He wanted to say a few words to console everyone, but at this point, trying to comfort Heian would be fruitless. No matter the result, it had to be faced head-on. Everyone's worked hard today, go to bed early, the boss said and then left. He might have said go to bed early, but would anyone in the team be sleeping tonight? The boss himself let out a long sigh after leaving. Starting from tonight, he probably wouldn't be able to get a good rest for a long period of time. Winning and losing came with happiness and sadness. At City H, there was one other person excited about Team Happy's victory. Happy won. Chang Xian had gone to watch the match. The instant Go Forth fell, he ran out of the room shouting wildly. Cough. Cao Guangcheng, who had been drinking beer while watching the big screen, choked because of Chang Xian's sudden shout. Beer spilled everywhere. Just when he was about to curse angrily at him, he saw Chang Xian flipping through the material that he had prepared last week. He didn't know whether to laugh or cry. An 8.5 to 1 lead, isn't it normal for them to win? Is there a need for you to be so excited? Cao Guangcheng WP'd the beer that he spat out as he spoke. I can send out my draft now, right? Let me see if there's anything I need to revise, Chang Xian said. I recommend that your article not be too long. Even though it's an upset, it happened in the Challenger League, so its value is only so much. It's best for the article to have less content, more news, Cao Guangcheng said. Teacher Cao, could you help me take a look then? Chang Xian asked. Sure, Cao Guangcheng actually quite liked this eager newbie Chang Xian. He would do his best to guide him. Looking over his draft took only a slight effort. Of course he wouldn't refuse. With so many years of experience, Cao Guangcheng reviewed the draft very fast because he knew how to see the important points. After skimming over his draft, Cao Guangcheng nodded his head, good. The member introductions are quite good, but the later parts related to the match could be more brief. Just going over the course of the match like a clickbait article is fine. Oh, okay, let me revise it. Chang Xian respected his senior, Cao Guangcheng, and didn't object any of the suggestions. As for Cao Guangcheng, who was holding his beer, he was a bit distracted. After seeing the interview material that Chang Xian got last week from their player backgrounds, Cao Guangcheng had become aware that Team Happy had much more to talk about than those relegated teams. Those relegated pro teams really didn't have too much to talk about. But for a team like Happy, if they really did have the strength, there was a lot of topics that could be discussed. The existence of this type of team was a pleasant surprise. Unfortunately, this season's Challenger League had another big surprise, Excellent Era. With Excellent Era keeping watch, would Happy be able to continue surprising everyone all the way to the end? Cao Guangcheng smiled bitterly. This was fate. Sometimes you might not admit it, but there was no other way around it. If this was any other season, a grassroots team that could defeat a relegated pro team might have made it to the front page. But this season, getting onto the front page might need them to go further. Perhaps when they encountered Excellent Era, they might be mentioned in the front page as loser to be pitied? The experienced Cao Guangcheng had plotted out the attention that Team Happy would get this season. The night of joy and sorrow soon passed. Cao Guangcheng's prediction was on point. After Team Happy eliminated Team Everlasting, a grassroots team defeating a former pro team was worthy of being reported. A complete report on Team Happy had finally been published in the esports home. Even though it had been published on an ordinary page and only took up space about the size of a chunk of tofu, it was a report dedicated to them. In the history of the Glory Pro Alliance, no non-pro team had ever obtained this type of report. The Challenger League had been nicknamed the Revival Tournament because up until now, no non-relegated team had ever entered the alliance through the Challenger League. The esports home's professionalism, authority, and influence was shown here. After Team Happy's report in this week's issue, the amount of attention that they received was far greater than what they had received through Chen Guo's free internet event. Chen Guo's promotion had attracted a bunch of face slappers too, and then a bunch of face slappers who wanted to face slap the face slappers. Team Happy had become an important topic among these two groups. The support for Team Happy was similar to the face slappers who supported Team Everlasting those previous 2 rounds. It was temporary and fake. They wouldn't feel bad about Team Everlasting getting relegated at all. The attention received from the esports home report was relatively positive. Many players who didn't care about the Challenger League now knew that such an interesting team had been hiding there all along. When they saw the introductions on the team members, it wasn't just normal players that were amazed. Cao Yifan. Although Cao Yifan was invisible, he had only left Team Tiny Herb 3 months ago. Team Tiny Herb's players wouldn't forget someone that they had seen every day for a year so quickly. When they saw this name, they thought they had mistaken the name, but they soon clearly saw how the name was written. It was the Cao Yifan that had been kicked from the team. That fellow ran to this team, Team Tiny Herb's members discussed. They didn't care too much about Cao Yifan, but they were still curious. What's all this commotion so early in the morning? Someone's voice came from the practice room. Everyone immediately returned to their seats. An esports home paper was left on the table, where everyone had dispersed from. It was on the Challenger League page. Wang Jiexi went up and picked it up. He soon saw what everyone had been discussing. Cao Yifan. That kid had ran to this team? That's a good choice. Wang Jiexi thought. He couldn't help but think of that phone call he personally received from the manager, asking about Cao Yifan. He didn't deny Cao Yifan's talent, but he was certain that Cao Yifan wasn't a player that Team Tiny Herb needed right now. Wang Jiexi didn't ask further about the reason for that phone call. But after seeing Cao Yifan at Team Happy, he approved of his decision. Wei Chen. Following afterwards, when Wang Jiexi's gaze swept over the rest of the article, he noticed this name. Wang Jiexi had become a pro player his 3rd season, right when Wei Chen had retired that season. Even though he had never interacted with this former god, it wasn't like he had started playing Glory in Season 3. Before his pro career, he had known of Wei Chen's fame. How old is he now? He's also gone to Team Happy? Wang Jiexi lifted his head and thought about it. Then, he saw Gao Yingji sitting in front of his computer in a daze. Gao Yingji soon noticed the captain's gaze and froze in fright. Sorry, Gao Yingji said and immediately went back to practice. Work hard. Wang Jiexi obviously knew why Gao Yingji had been distracted. When you meet again, it'll be on the stage. Chapter 845. A 1.4 unit of difference in caste range. Wei Chen's name only stunned Wang Jiexi because he questioned Wei Chen's age. The two had never met each other before, so Wang Jiexi didn't think too much about it. However, the significance of Wei Chen's name was very different for Team Blue Rain. The latest weekly esports paper was laid on the table. All of Team Blue Rain gathered around to look at it, but no one stopped them, because everyone was lost in thought. For Team Blue Rain, even young fellows who had a large age difference with Wei Chen like Lu Hanwen, had heard of Wei Chen's name. Wei Chen was a part of Team Blue Rain's history, and established the foundation of Team Blue Rain. The two gods of Blue Rain had ties with Wei Chen. Captain Yu Wenzhou had inherited the character Swaksar, which was a character Wei Chen brought from the online circle to professional circle. Although he left, his character stayed and became an important member of the shining generation of stars. Moreover, Huang Shaoshan was discovered by their first captain Wei Chen and brought into Team Blue Rain's training camp to be trained as an official pro player. Speaking of which, his relationship with Wei Chen was even more complicated. It could be said that if it wasn't for Wei Chen, they wouldn't have had the Huang Shaoshan they had today. Why did Boss Wei go there? Judging by how Huang Shaoshan addressed Wei Chen, the other players could tell Wei Chen had a special position in his heart. To address someone as boss showed respect without creating too much distance. Neither the current captain of Team Blue Rain, Yu Wenzhou, nor the second captain, Fang Shijing, were addressed in such a way. Could he have contacted Yi Chu after Yi Chu retired? Did Yi Chu invite him to join him in his return to the scene? Yu Wenzhou predicted. They had little information, but Yu Wenzhou was certain that it was related to Yi Chu. Were those two friends? Huang Shaoshan asked in return. Yu Wenzhou was startled. At that time, both Huang Shaoshan and him weren't official players yet, they had only been newbies in Team Blue Rain's training camp. It was the early stages of the Pro League, so the club wasn't as regulated as it was now. The difference in status between the pro team and training camp was not so obvious. Everyone was like a family, so even though they weren't in the system, both Yu Wenzhou and Huang Shaoshan were pretty clear about the team's situation at the time. In my opinion, not only was he not friends, he hated Yi Chu to the bones. I remember that we were eliminated in the Season 1 playoffs by Excellent Era. After that match, Boss Wei cursed Yi Chu for about half an hour, right? Huang Shaoshan recalled. I think that happened, Yu Wenzhou nodded. And now you're telling me that those two have ganged up together? Huang Shaoshan asked. It's probably because he also felt unresigned, Yu Wenzhou sighed. Huang Shaoshan was at a loss for words. When Wei Chen retired, it was quite pitiful. Team Blue Rain had a serious slip in their performance in the Season 2, and he wasn't able to bring out the skills he should have had into play, so many people thought he was getting old. In addition, he unexpectedly lost to Yu Wenzhou 3 times in a row in the team's training camp. Even though a match where the senior gives advice to the newbies shouldn't be taken seriously, Yu Wenzhou wasn't someone like Huang Shaoshan, who was confirmed to become their future ace player. At that time, he was regarded as a member who didn't have any talent. It was inevitable that such a loss would bring about various kinds of rumors in the club. This was why Wei Chen decisively retired at the end of that season. From that moment onwards, he no longer stayed in contact with the pro scene and vanished without trace. But now, 6 years had passed, it came to everyone's surprise that Wei Chen's name would appear on the esports weekly news. Could it be that he spent those 6 years cut off from the world just to practice hard? I must see Boss Wei's current skill level. Huang Shaoshan was the first to leave the crowd and looked for a computer to search up Team Happy's matches. It wasn't likely for Team Blue Rain to check on the Challenger League. When Huang Shaoshan left, everyone followed along. Yu Wenzhou watched from the back. They still had an official match tonight. It wasn't good that everyone was focused on the gossip. But if he forcibly stopped everyone from paying attention to the gossip, it might produce the opposite result, as everyone will find it difficult to concentrate. This was why he didn't stop them and allowed everyone to join in the fun. As for Yu Wenzhou himself, he quietly stood on the side while he watched Huang Shaoshan use the computer. I've got it. Huang Shaoshan was swift with his actions, and he soon found the recording of the match between Team Happy and Team Everlasting. There were too many teams at the early stages of the Challenger League, so the authorities wouldn't record and organize the videos. What Huang Xiaoshan found was by searching for VODs posted online by the spectators. The video included the entire first round of the competition. Huang Xiaoshan originally wanted to find the fight with Wei Chen's Warlock, but in the first match's first round, he noticed the character, Steamed Bun Invasion. He knew this guy. Wasn't this the idiot who asked him for his horoscope? Huang Xiaoshan immediately took interest, so he didn't move and just watched the match. After watching for a while, the players of Team Blue Rain, including Huang Xiaoshan, showed surprise. After they inspected further, Huang Xiaoshan was the first to confirm, and immediately laughed out loud. He's an idiot as expected. He couldn't even find the way, ha 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 ha, so stupid. When everyone listened, they casted sidelong glances at Huang Xiaoshan one by one. A player asked at once, Huang Xiao, you know this person? Cough, why would I know an idiot like this guy? Huang Xiaoshan hurriedly fast-forwarded the match. However, Huang Xiaoshan personally wanted to see if Steamed Bun Invasion had any moves in the end, so he fast-forwarded and played. This happened until the very end, when Steamed Bun Invasion was actually beaten to death like that. F***ck, Huang Xiaoshan cursed. The other players casted sidelong glances once again, as they thought, what on earth was he doing? One in Jash was the player for the second round. That's the guy from Team Tiny Herb, someone immediately recognized him, it was mentioned on the report after all. To have a player that originated from Team Tiny Herb was rather eye-catching. As a result, Huang Xiaoshan didn't fast-forward the match, while everyone appreciated Chao Yifan's performance. Huang Xiaoshan's comment in the end was, both sides are very professional huh? Everyone immediately understood. All the spectators with the bird's-eye view would definitely know about Chao Yifan's arrangement. But Team Everlasting's player still fell for it, which meant that none of the other teammates had warned him. Achieving this under the regulations in the Challenger League meant that the team demonstrated good sportsmanship. But on the other hand, even if one was warned, he needed to dodge it on his own. Otherwise, if a player predicted everything through warnings, it would draw out a lot of suspicion. The opponent had the right to report and send a recorded video of the match to come to a trial. If it was too obvious, was discovered, and failed to pass through the trial, the team would be punished accordingly. After this match, following Team Blue Rain's expectations, Wei Chen's Windward Formation finally went on stage. Windward Formation's opponent was coincidentally Leopold, the Warlock from Team Everlasting. One's fundamentals would show most prominently when fighting against another of the same class. The spectators were all pro players of Team Blue Rain. Was it necessary to say who they were leaning towards? No one hoped for Leopold to do well from the very start. The results also met their expectations. Windward Formation was basically able to deal with Leopold however he wanted. Tisk tisk tisk, too cruel, he's totally playing with him. Boss Wei is still so, like that, Huang Xiaoshan said. Everyone straightened their ears. Among the players of Team Blue Rain present, only Yu Wenzhou and Huang Xiaoshan had directly been in contact with Wei Chen. It was needless to say that they hoped to get gossip out of their captain. Even though Huang Xiaoshan was about to reveal some information, he blocked out the keyword. Where did his usual, endless, talkative character go? Due to Huang Xiaoshan's personality, despite being the ace player in the team, everyone was accustomed to him, so someone immediately pointed out the crucial point. He's still so what? What is that? Cough, Huang Xiaoshan coughed deeply and didn't reply. Everyone watched Windward Formation completely torture Leopold in laughter, and no one really took the match seriously. Only Yu Wenzhou watched attentively and interrupted. Windward Formation had a clear advantage in his casting distance. Take a look at his equipment. Everyone present was no amateur, they just didn't notice. When their captain said so, they soon realized as well. They could also check a character's equipment through the replay. When Huang Xiaoshan shifted his mouse forward, the first equipment was silver. The stats of the silver equipment was hidden, so they couldn't see it. But Huang Xiaoshan was surprised and cried out loud. Not bad. There's silver equipment. They continued to check the other equipment. Every player present was paying attention to see if there were any equipment for casting distance until they reached the weapon. Hey, the weapon is also silver, Huang Xiaoshan was surprised. It seems like it comes from this weapon, Yu Wenzhou said. He was obviously incomparably familiar towards warlocks. This casting distance, when Huang Shaoxun started to pay attention, his skills in observation and judgment were rather astonishing. It's 2 units less than Swaksar's, isn't it? But his other equips are inferior, Yu Wenzhou said. Huang Shaoxun understood what he meant. The weapon was not the only equipment that could increase the casting distance. Compared to what Windward Formation had at the moment, there was a lot of space for improvement. It was needless to imagine how much Windward Formation's casting distance would increase if Windward Formation had Swaksar's equipment, because it could be calculated. After all, Windward Formation's set of equipment mainly consisted of orange equipments, which there were stats for. In fact, if one were to mix and match equipment like this, it was very easy to expose the stats on a piece of silver equipment. Huang Shaoxun had a rough idea of the stats of Windward Formation's silver equipment. He believed that Yu Wenzhou would only be clearer. It would be 1.4 units farther. Exchanging Swaksar's equipment was only what Huang Shaoxun imagined, but Yu Wenzhou was able to directly come up with the results. This would mean that if Windward Formation kept his silver weapon but exchanged everything else with Swaksar's equipment, his casting distance would exceed the Alliance's number 1 warlock by 1.4 units. This 1.4 difference in casting distance could be a deadly advantage that determined life and death in a high-level match. This was a true death's hand.